We've seen in this chapter that economists have been trying maybe for 100 years to explain to societies how they should administer their open public access common resources through taxes. So, for instance, taxes are actually called Pigouvian taxes for Pigou, who explained them maybe almost 100 years ago, or quotas or exclusive permit. But here, let's wake up to the fact that humans have been doing things their own way for a way longer stretch of time. We are going to illustrate this with three examples of one of our oldest activities. So hunting, gathering, and fishing. Here we start with hunting. So this is a website by Randall Munro called XKCD. I highly recommend it if you are a geek who likes math and computer science. And here what he's showing is a graphical representation of Earth's land mammals by weight. Humans, we occupy quite a large portion of it, so it's in dark gray here. We're almost 8 billions in 2020. And the light gray is all of our domestic animals, so privately owned. This is the cattle, pigs, goats, sheep, horses. So imagine that I want to go and hunt for my dinner like my ancestors. Is it easy to find wild animals? Well, there still are some around, but they're quite far apart. So this looks quite surprising. For instance, where are the elephants? Well, they have their own square there, but not that close to being totally disappeared. So this excludes birds, for instance, but just we must remember that there are a lot of chicken around. Actually, 25 billion almost in the world now. So that's about 3 chicken per human being. So quite a lot to go around. So the picture wouldn't really change if we included birds in there. So what does that look like to you? Well, to me, it looks like a victory. So we have invaded Earth. There is almost no nature anymore. Well, there is nature, but in terms of the importance of animals, then there's just no question that privately owned animals have totally replaced open access free game. So that's land animals. Now, the similar picture in terms of forest versus agriculture. So this is the total forest versus total agriculture land mass from 1992 to 2016. It doesn't go before that because the data is quite scarce, but still it's quite obvious that forest areas are always in decline. It's not that fast, so we have to keep in mind this scale is it's not that large, but still the movement is quite obvious. Whereas agricultural land always increases. And just to have so sometimes we see that picture is worth 100 words, or maybe is worth one graph. So this is Amazon deforestation seen from space. So that's the same area in 1975 and 2012. So where is that forest going? Well, it's going to agriculture use again, and not any agriculture. 91% of the land deforestation in Brazil is going to feed livestock pasture. And in the world, it's 77%. So 77% of the reason why we use land for farm is going to feed all of this blob of animals there. So maybe not the most efficient way of doing things, but well, all of humanity now wants to have a lifestyle where they can eat meat at every meal. So that's what we have to do, the sacrifice we have to do to accept that. And then last example, fishing. So we have been using fishing for a while. So is there any hope for the sea? Well, this is the evolution of sea catches in red versus aquaculture in blue from 1960 to 2015. So as it's obvious, so capture fisheries are stagnating, have been stagnating since the 1990s. And for many species of large fish, as we've seen, they're in decline. And for the first time in the human history, in 2014, aquaculture has outweighed capture fisheries in terms of feeding the world. And look at the trend, it's never turning back. So now, from now on, aquaculture is exactly like the other cultures. It's privately owned, and yeah, the sea itself is going to be emptier and emptier. Now, is it? Now, am I saying that this is the solution? So now this is just the picture of what's happening. Obviously, there are many cases in which this is difficult to apply. So, for instance, in terms of the sea, well, it's farming large fishes such as tuna or swordfish is very difficult to do, almost impossible at this point, or other large sea animals like whales, for instance. Even though some countries still like to eat whales, there's no way we could farm whales at that point. Maybe it can occur someday if people invent artificial meat or artificial fish meat, for instance, but it's still not for today. Last point I have to say about this too is I'm not saying that the free market can replace every other natural resource. It's replacing resources that have high market value, food. So because people have to eat, but maybe people value also things that are not as immediate in their lives, such as basically just knowing the fact that, for instance, the Amazon exists and there are nice animals out there, then it might bring joy to people around the world to know that this is there. But since they're not ready to maybe buy some piece of land of the Amazon and pay for it, well, there's no real market value, and it just cannot exist in today's capitalistic economy. Same thing for a clean ocean. So somebody has to pay for it, or there has to be at some point a market value for clean oceans or clean rivers. And until that point, well, private markets cannot replace this nice public good that have been created by the world since millions of years, and now is being replaced at a high pace. So this is the story of common access, open access resources. So we're now going to use a very similar model to look at another, let's say, challenging situation that humanity is going to face in the not so far future, which is the climate crisis. So yeah, so let's continue for the next chapter.